All right, folks, today let's go over using the OpenAI API so that we can evaluate and fine tune a model to solve logic puzzles. Right now, we're just going to get into the evaluation. This is the first piece of code that we will be using. We're going to evaluate and fine tune GPT. We're going to fine tune Llama. But in this video, let's just go over the evaluate Python file, which I have uploaded to GitHub for collaborative use. All right, so you probably can't read this, and really it doesn't really matter. But the pipeline here is we are going to try and copy the Alpaca Stanford research process, and we want to create a dataset with GPT similar to the form of the math dataset, which I saw and felt that this is easily reproducible. This is a paper that came out. These fellows here created a math data set, and it's just a bunch of math problems. Now, it's 401 math problems in a improperly formatted JSON file, and they just ran this using not this exact file here. This is created by me, but something pretty much exactly like this. And here, we'll go ahead and run this. So yeah, there you go. It gives the responses. I'm using GPT-3 Turbo to do this. I don't have access to GPT-4 now. It gets 95% accuracy because the first Euler's formula response trips it up a little bit, and we need to do some debugging. But what I'm going to do is do the exact same thing except with logic puzzles, because I think that we need to stab this in the back. I hear too many people talking about GPT being some kind of intelligent system of dangerous portions, but this thing has no conceptual capabilities that rival a human being other than, what do you call that? A whole lot of data. It's got a whole lot of data, more than a human could ever possibly remember. But other than that, it's not doing any thinking of any kind. And we'll go ahead and show that through the course of the next, month or so. Once classes free up, I'll have a bunch more time. But today, let's just get a look at how to actually use this API for GPT. And we're going to do the testing with Llama. So we'll make the data set with GPT. We'll do some evaluation on GPT just to make sure that the data set, is in a good format, and we can get outputs a lot easier without having to do as much training. We're fine tuning, and then we'll move over to Llama way down in the future. But it's going to be a similar process, except we are going to be using the web UI by Ubabuga, and we're going to be locally doing all this instead of using an API. It'll be just kind of a local server request, a little bit different, but same idea. So let's get to it. All right, so you want to make sure you have an OpenAI account. So go ahead and make an account, go to the account page, click on your logo. You'll see my information here, and you want to click API keys. You can also just Google search OpenAI API keys, and that should take you to where you want to go. So go ahead and do that. Once you have an account, and then create a new key, call it test key. Name is optional, you don't have to call it anything, but make sure you do copy this and use it as soon as you copy it, because you won't be able to view it again. But if you do forget to copy it, hit done for some reason, doesn't really matter, because you can generate a fair number of keys. I haven't actually tested how many you can generate, but if you can definitely generate one after deleting. You can always delete and regenerate, so you can always get another key. So don't worry about that. All right, now that you're keyed up, you want to make sure that you have cloned this repo. It is just a git clone. There should be a link in the description. If you don't know how to clone repos, look it up. But or ask me in the comments and I'll show you. You just literally type in git clone, go to the repo page, and paste the repo information. But once you do that, you want to go to the e.env template, and then you want to paste in your secret key. So we're going to go ahead and copy this bad boy and paste this bad boy in there. And once you paste it in there, you go ahead and save it and rename this. So save, and just rename it the .env. So That's what you want to do. We're not going to do it here because I already have the .env key for my personal use, but in the get ignore, I have ignored that so you don't see my super secret key for me only. And you don't want to share these because someone else can use your secret key and run up a fat tab, which you don't want. I'm not even sure the security implications of having this much of my key showing. This might be a big faux pas. So, don't, I don't know. It's probably some hash thing. That'd be kind of, yeah, that should be fine, really. I don't know how you're gonna regenerate that. That's not how these things work. But yeah, do that. Get your key, post it in here, rename this to .env, and then you're good to go. That's all we got for the evaluate. Okay, so there's 3 files in here: the evaluate, the fine tune, which shouldn't be in there. I put it in the get ignore, but I obviously don't understand the inner workings of GitHub enough, or Git. I guess this should be a Git issue. It is in there, but whatever. Don't worry about the fine tune right now. It does run, but it's not exactly what we want. Evaluate. This is what you want to worry about, and the config. This config is just a basic config that I may or may not add to in the future, where it sets the OpenAI key and loads it as an environment variable so that you don't have to type it in anywhere but in the .env file. Nothing really to worry about there. Don't have to change anything. The evaluate, you also don't have to change anything except for the engine, but as I would recommend, the only engine that is actually worth using is GPT 3.5 Turbo. But if you do change it, there are 2 functions here that will allow you to run the non-chat completion DaVinci models as well, and perhaps Code DaVinci may be helpful if you're going with another data set that is more related to code, which you might want to do if you are trying to fine-tune your model to debug languages that may be a little more esoteric than what GPT 3.5 or GPT 4 can handle in the chat GPT or the GPT playground. I'm not sure. I think someone in the comments mentioned that. But that's pretty much the only thing you got to change here. The engine, replaced with one of these. 3.5 turbo is cheaper and it is better. I was getting much better accuracy. 002 was giving me something like 50% accuracy. 003, I think 90% was the highest that I got. Even GPT 3.5 turbo does seem to have an issue with this Euler's formula or Euler's identity here. It seemed to respond with a lot of spaces for some reason, but I need to keep the max tokens at 3 because the negative sign and a number seems to take up 3 tokens, which is weird. How do you check how many tokens things are? There is a GPT-3 tokenizer. So when you're setting the max tokens, you probably want to enter in some values that may be useful. -4, but -45, 3 tokens. So maybe we can drop this down to 2. I was getting some funky results from that though. But yeah, well, you want to use the tokenizer to kind of parse through here. And this is just a quick overview. There's a lot of files here that we're going to do as we go along here, so there'll be more explanations and in-depth things. Look, this is definitely more than how many tokens? I guess maybe spaces don't, yeah, that's 2 tokens. Interesting. 3 tokens. What? The enter is a fat token. Okay, so I probably want to add something to, I guess the strip wasn't enough. Did I add strip in the chat completion? I don't think I did. So I probably want to go ahead and add strip here. See, that might throw an error because I'm not sure if it's putting out text. It looks like we're good. So that should have fixed that. Nope, didn't. So we're still getting that same issue here. Okay, so that was correct actually. Oh, 10 point. I tried to give us a floating point here. That's weird. Not sure why it did that. Yeah, the temperature was too high. For math problems, we don't want any creativity. Put the temperature down to 0.1 and we're at 100% on GPT 3.5 turbo. So working as should for this very limited 20 question data set. And that's pretty much it as far as running it goes. Make sure you edit the env to have the open API key. you should have access to the config, which you don't have to change anything to. And we got the evaluate.py and the fine-tune.py, which is not completed. But if you do want to play around with it, you just enter in your text file here. I think it will also work with the .json, and you should be good to go. The evaluate.py has, I think, 3 functions, and the main here, so you can put this in another project that you might have and get chat completions. You don't have to use any specific dataset format. This is just set up to work with a dataset that has a question and an answer, but the question can be of any type and the answer can be of any type. It's all getting processed and outputted as text. So these numbers are all really strings at the end of the day. So you can put in, you know, whatever you want. It's all strings up in here. That's pretty much it. The chat completion is for the 3.5s, and the regular non-chat completion is for the older DaVincis. These cost more to run than these by a significant margin, and these, the cheaper ones, the 3.5 turbos, seem to outperform. Code DaVinci, I have gotten longer code generations from. So if you are doing something related to code generation, Code DaVinci does put out lengthy code outputs, but nothing better than 3.5 is putting out. But if you give it an example piece of code that you want, like create a class, it'll make a longer and more, I wouldn't say better, but just it'll create larger text files. The accuracy of the files are about the same. You're going to have to do some editing for your specific use case, but that's pretty much it. Next, we'll probably go with the fine tune to actually try out a data set of logic problems. I have about 15 right now. I'll try and put together maybe a set of about 50. So that's all I got for this. Let me know if you got any questions. This is just the first iteration, and we are going to actually complete a project, do something a little more in depth than what we normally do, and more sustained and a long term kind of thing here. So appreciate y'all for hanging out and putting up with me for, you know, being kind of distant and out of the place. There's a bunch of new models that came out. They're all basically the same, and none of them are outperforming GPT 3.5, which is completely free. So I'm really done reviewing those. LoRa, we might end up messing around with LoRa to do some of the training for Llama. But that's later down the line. For fine tuning to save space, that should allow us to actually train on my single or on the 3090 and the 3060. I think it brings it down to about 28 gigabytes. So we may get some of that, but it's all Python all the time. Hope you guys like the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Really appreciate y'all. Peace.